Welcome to all that have joined. Mark, thank you so much for joining us from your home in Michigan. Thank you for speaking to me, and thank you for speaking to all the distinguished guests that have joined from the Miami real estate community. We are honored to have you as part of our virtual event, and we are looking forward to having you in Miami in person sometime very soon.
Can't wait.
For those that are not familiar with the work of ASGG, could you please tell us a little bit about Adrian Smith, Gordon Gill, and what is the work that they are known for? What are their signature projects?
Sure. So again, just to say thank you for having me, and we're excited to talk about our firm and obviously Una. But Adrian Smith plus Gordon Gill Architecture is about a 13, 14-year-old firm in Chicago, and we're dedicated to the design of high-performance, energy-efficient, sustainable architecture. We take sort of a holistic approach that emphasizes the relationships to the natural environment. So obviously we're very excited, and you say, what are some of our premier projects? Una is one of our premier projects that we're very, very excited about, and we'll discuss later about, you know, its proximity and its environment, surrounding environment. But other projects that folks may know is Adrian Smith, prior to forming the firm with Gordon Gill, worked at Skidmore, Owings & Merrill as a design partner. So you may know a couple buildings that he did previous to this, and that would be the Burj Khalifa, which is the world's tallest building. At ASGG, we have designed the Jeddah Tower, now it's called. It was Kingdom Tower before. That's in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and that will be the world's tallest building. And then we've also done other projects. Una, one of them, projects in Asia that have a large residential component. So I think that sort of sums it up. But again, we really look at the understanding what the project requirements are, what the objectives are, the site issues, and we relate to the needs of our client and the end user.
Great. And tell us about the projects that you have, been involved with, and
Sure.
And how did you become a designer?
Okay, great. So I've I've been working on Una for probably about 2 years, along with other projects with the OCO Group, which we're very, very excited about in Miami. I'm working on projects in Toronto. It happens to be an office tower, but a very forward-thinking piece of architecture for the Toronto skyline. Our firm, we've just finished, just to add another exciting project, is the Central Park Tower in Manhattan, New York. And that project now is considered the world's tallest residential tower. So we're very, very excited about that as well. As far as myself, I came from a high-end residential design firm prior to ASGG. So I enjoy the experience of working on residential projects. I think they're fulfilling. I think they carry great narratives, so I bring that expertise, or that knowledge, I should say, over to ASGG. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy what we're doing at Una.
And what was your inspiration for Una?
So the inspiration for Una was its locale, its relationship to the Bay, which is breathtaking. Anything nautical. So immediately we started to think about, well, what is a beautiful, well-crafted boat? And so we picked a wooden speedboat, which Riva makes one. It's a sort of, you may have seen in those in movies, but we took the narrative for Una from this boat, and you'll see details within the building that will emulate the sort of wooden texture, the feeling of the natural wood hull, the very well tuned details such as all the chrome on the boat. So we use this in a way to sort of tie the building interiors to the bay. Besides that, the inspiration for the architecture, which we pulled a lot from the architecture itself. I have a small little wooden model here, but it's about the organic and sort of flowing shapes of the building, and then also this cantilever in the back, which allowed for units higher up to have larger floor plates and better views, or the best views. But what's important to know is every unit has a direct view of the bay, because we wanted to continue that narrative with the views. There's a great deal of glass, and there's a great deal of glass that you don't see here that doesn't have balconies, which is a typical sort of detail in Miami high-rise architecture. But the decision was to bring the views all the way out so people can enjoy and feel like they're adjacent to the bay.
And at Una, like you well mentioned, the relationship with the bay is very important, and it's done sometimes through these beautiful outdoor spaces, which are the terraces.
Yeah.
So do you have any design tips for a lifestyle that combines the indoor and outdoor experience?
Yeah, and that's one of the ways that we were able to give every resident that relationship, was to provide these terraces. And these terraces are oversized in comparison to what you'd usually see maybe for most terraces in the market. And we did that because we considered it another living room, because we wanted people to be able to sit and furnish these terraces and allow for this outdoor living and blur the line between indoor and outdoor as much as possible. And I think that's very, very important in how people live. I mean, when we design buildings, we consider the culture and the habits of those who live there. And Miami is a tropical climate, and we wanted to take advantage of getting people outside and allowing people to have that relationship. And then furthermore, like, I think some of the boat inspired wood elements really emphasize that natural, organic character of the interiors of the building as well.
A lot of beautiful things in the building, but what is your favorite aspect? What is your favorite detail of it now?
Well, I was very fortunate, and Carmen, we were able to work very early on the project together, which was wonderful. But I think what's outstanding and just amazing is the cantilever of the building and the view that people will get from the pools that are adjacent. And why is because the building really becomes part of the narrative. It's organic. It has a power to it that is that inspires, right? And so I love that aspect of the building. As far as the interiors are concerned, I think we're very, very fortunate to develop with Oko Group a very abundant amenities program. So we have many different types of amenity spaces, properly scaled for this 135 unit tower. which is quite intimate. And so we were able to create not only a spa area, but also a social area. And there's different social areas spread throughout the first three, the podium of the building, as we call it. And they're all adjacent to these outdoor spaces, so everyone can enjoy and experience. There's a pool by the bay, and then there's a pool that's protected that to the back of the building that is a larger, more spa-like, like resort-like pool area with different pools. But all of that taken in with this cantilever, because you're going to really be able to see that, and that excites, that inspires me.
And talking about inspiration, I'm sure that Miami itself is a great source of inspiration. How do you envision the future of Miami as a place to live? Do you see this city as an important international hub for culture and be basically at the same level of the major global cities?
What's unique about Miami is that it is so international. It is really a crossroads between Europe, South America, Canada, the States. All of this brings all of these cultures together in a very rich context. The culture, the business community is, since I've been going back and forth to Miami, you know, is insane how much business comes to Miami. But you put that in relation to like a neighborhood that Una's in, where it's a very established, very livable environment, and for a scale building of 135 units compared to what else is there, this only emphasizes that sort of neighborhood feel, which I think is really, really important to Miami. But Miami is onto itself. It has a character different than anywhere you know, I know, and really exemplary of just people coming together and just being a rich melting pot. But I really feel that like a building like Una also is a building that people can either be a single or a couple or bring a family. It's because of its environment and because of where it's located. It's adjacent to really everything, but still in a very quiet locale.
And as an architect, when they call you to say, we want you to come and design something in Miami, how do you feel? How do you feel that Miami is basically attracting all these wonderful star architects?
Well, I'm not going to take credit for it, because Adrian and Gordon really brought to this project really that international feel. We've been fortunate to work all over the world with all different environments. There's world-class architecture popping up everywhere in Miami. It's an absolute museum of architecture in a way. And Adrian and Gordon, through the formative architecture and the capturing of views and the form of the building, really have created something that's in a way a little bit, I guess, iconic or memorable in this portion of Miami. It's, you know, really amazing to see what is going on, even everything from design district to what's some of the new developments on South Beach to what's going on over here and even south of us. It's remarkable.
And something that, I mean, it's obviously in everybody's mind, and I think it will be interesting to our audience. Do you think the current pandemic might influence the design of the future and the design of the buildings, especially?
Absolutely. You know, as much as we want this to be temporary, and we all hope that we can move on from this, there are some things that we have to take away from what's happened to us during this pandemic. One of which is, I think we're realizing that buildings have to be flexible. be it a residential tower or an office building or a cultural building. Buildings are going to have to protect its inhabitants even more from what's going on in nature. As much as we want to be expressing nature, bringing nature in, we also have to protect from it in a way. So I think one thing we're going to see is spaces that are very, very flexible, that can be small or large. I think in the case of the amenities here at UNA, we are fortunate because of the scale of the building being more intimate. We purposefully designed the amenities to do that as well. They're smaller and more intimate, so you're not in a large space, and we feel that that's more appropriate. With the pandemic situation now, it's going to allow for smaller groups to inhabit parts of these spaces and be more secure, and rather than being in an open space with a larger population.
Of course. Do you think that you mentioned that the buyer at UNA, it can be from a single person to a family. Who do you think will be attracted to the UNA design? Who do you think that it will be, the person that will be there?
It's a good question. I mean, it's in a way the I'm going to call it Riva, but the Riva, the wooden speedboat, that analogy is nostalgic in a way. It recalls like what Dean Martin and the Rat Pack did in the 50s in Miami. And that was a little bit of our influence as well, because that attracts an older sort of clientele and maybe a more established clientele. But at the same time, because of its forward-thinking architecture and its organic nature and its intimacy, it could also attract a younger, more active owner. So we did that intentionally. I think that that it's important to not make something so specific for one particular type of clientele, and sort of exclude others. But I think in UNA, it's a good example where, because we have different size units, they're situated differently in the tower. It could be anything from a family with kids to a retired couple to a young professional to like someone who's going to use it as a pied-à-terre, or someone who's coming in from South America once a month. Who knows? I mean, or Canada once a month. But I think it caters to everyone.
One of the renderings shows a beautiful lounge. I think that it's really spectacular with the use of woods. Was that meant to be some type of a vessel of some sort?
Exactly. And sorry, we don't have it for the viewers, but the viewers, just to describe it a little bit, it was intended to be a entirely wood room with wood walls and ceiling and floors, and everything is sort of built in. And what we were paying homage to was sort of the boat interior, where everything is sort of fit in place and sort of bespoke to that room. And that is only one type of room that we offer for amenities. We also have on the ground floor a more a little bit higher ceiling, more open, more white, that is engaging the exterior, the beautiful garden that's along the bay, that's elevated to look over the bay, so that this becomes an indoor-outdoor room, and it's adjacent to the lobby. But the intent was in that view was to bring sort of a ability for people to have like a feeling of a yard, to have a feeling of a garden available to them, rather than potted plants and things in a terrace. this is meant to be a full garden. And you know, Anea Landscape did a wonderful job with us to design that. So it should be quite special.
I think another striking point is the arrival experience. I think that's beautiful design.
Well, thank you. I mean, Adrian and Gordon wanted to really make sure that the arrival sequence was part of the amenity experience. So Miami is a car culture. There's a lot of wonderful cars. I think it's important sort of culturally. But when you drive into the Port Cochier there, it is an enclosed space with a wood ceiling to, again, be that vessel that you sort of drive into. And it's sort of the first room that you get to. It's not the lobby or where the desk is. It's really that space. So when you arrive in your vehicle, you feel like you're home, just like a driveway would be to a house. And so it's very exciting to be able to bring some of the interior architecture out into that space. And I think Adrian and Gordon really wanted that continuity. And it should be quite exciting. I can't wait to see that come to life.
You mentioned that sometimes Adrian and Gordon are hired for the architecture, sometimes you are hired for the interior design, but this has been a collaboration of all aspects of the building to be created by ASGG. How was that work for you, and what does it mean?
It was fantastic, and just to clarify how, you know, what Adrian and Gordon and I work on together is really the complete package here. And we were very fortunate due to our client to be able to do everything on this building, from architecture through to the interiors. And that creates a very cohesive design, which we're excited about. But Adrian and Gordon have everything to do with everything. But the team is what really, in my opinion, let it all happen in a way. We had a wonderful client team from Oko Group under the leadership of Mr. Dornan and Revolta Architecture as our local architect, Anea Landscape, obviously Fortune. We had a great time meeting several times, and then the entire contracting team that's well underway because they broke ground. They demolished the sales center, which was another one of our projects that we loved because we were able to recreate what was potentially a view. But we're excited. The team's great, and I'm sure it will show in the final product of the building.
Was there ever any disagreement, or was it always like the exterior design gets done first and then the interior design, or sometimes it's the reverse? How does it work?
Well, the way, just from our point of view, the way that Adrian and Gordon like to build the project in a way is, and we were very fortunate again here, is the interiors and the building form worked hand in hand. So it was a constant collaboration of doing studies on floor plans, which we worked with Fortune and the local architect on, and developing those to really benefit the form of the building. So next to all of these beautiful deep terraces are beautiful living rooms, and, you know, open kitchens in some locations. And, you know, so it all sort of, it all flowed into each other. But no, there weren't any, when you have that, there aren't any true, you know, it's more of a discussion more than anything.
Basically, I wanted to understand one thing. So now, as you mentioned, we have the site completely clean. We demolished the old structure, like you said. Unfortunately, I know it was your creation, but now we are very excited.
Sales center, yeah.
So we started the construction, and we're very excited to start seeing, obviously, the superstructure of Una. What is the element that you're more excited to see?
Well, I mean, I am always very, very excited when we go to job sites, construction sites, and I was able to see Adrian and Gordon doing the sketches from the first day and setting the principles for all of us as a design team to follow. So when I see a site that's absolutely flat and the building starting to be built, I gravitate and get excited about things like the drop off, like are the, these dimensions, how does it feel? Like you go into the lobby and like, the glass wall is going to be here. How does it feel? And it validates sometimes some of your thoughts that you had in the design process, but it's exciting to see the actual spaces take shape. And I know obviously all the listeners have been on job sites and construction sites before, and sometimes you just, no matter what kind of professional you are, you always like question, like, is this really the right space? Is this the right size? But with a good team like we've just described, I think this is going to really be really special. I think the outdoor spaces, especially the pool under the building that's in this area here, that's going to be an exciting space because you're going to have that panoramic view and you're going to be able to be outside. So I can't wait to see these things come to life.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So basically, ASGG has done the architectural work, has done the interior design. The last step will be if perhaps some clients would like to have you designing the interior of their apartments. Will that be a possibility?
Sure, we would love that. And again, it's from where I come from, and doing high-end residential work and being able to work one-on-one with the client is always a great experience, no matter how difficult the project is. But yeah, we would love to go to that scale, to that that sort of intensity of detail with a client. It would be a pleasure. So keep us in mind. So that would be a great thing to do.
Any ideas already for how you would, design one of those large units, perhaps the penthouse, which has 14,000 square feet and divided in 3 floors?
So what's funny about that is that when you get to that scale, it's really about the client and the personalities of who you're designing for. Obviously, all of us, even every person on the design team that has worked on the project, has designed their own penthouse in that building. So, it really depends on what the personalities are, and just like I think this project's personality really reflects, I think, Oko Group and what they bring to this kind of project, and that was very, very important to us. So yeah, if I'd love to meet the penthouse buyers, and I'd love to talk them through some ideas.
Wonderful. When and we definitely keep it in mind. When Una comes to life, which will be, in approximately a couple of years, 2.5, it might just be a different world out there. Will be fully ready? Will we have everything that we need to make the apartments follow all the safety and all the privacy measures that I think that now our buyer is going to be seeking for.
Of course, especially in larger units and you know, a more upscale environment. Absolutely. So the building, and I'm not going to speak for Adrian and Gordon and the architecture team, but the building is designed to meet all of the brand new standards that new projects have to follow in Miami, especially. And we've worked very, very hard with our local architects to make sure of that. And with regards to future-proofing the units, one advantage to a building like this versus something of a larger scale, say, is that there's only 135 units. And because of that more intimate size again, there's more opportunities to upgrade or to do whatever a particular buyer would need or require for security. Sometimes owners require special security, and that can all be accommodated, especially the way that the public spaces in the amenities are laid out. You know, I think, and its location, because it's sort of at the end of the street and next to a park and all that. I think this project is really well suited, but everything's been considered through all of the consultants, all of the most current standards have been met. It's a state-of-the-art building.
Thank you so much. You are currently in Chicago.
Yep.
Still kind of chilly out there.
Yeah, it's nice today, yeah.
We've heard that the Northeast and the Midwest, because of the characteristics of the climate, because of the, you know, possibly the big cities not being so appealing anymore, we might expect an influx of buyers in Miami from those areas. What is your feeling since you are there?
I could very well see that. I mean, you know, between New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami offers really everything as far as business, culture, all of that maybe people in those older cities, not that Miami's new, but that older cities might have more established. But Miami has it all. And with the climate that's there, I mean, it would, you know, I have friends through this pandemic that have gone to their places in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Southern Florida because it's warmer, it's more comfortable, everything's available there, and it's a more outdoor. The outdoor living is more healthful. You know, not being confined with other people in closed spaces for any sort of issue with illness, spread of illness. So being outside is really more healthy in a way. And Miami actually offers a lot of that just because of its climate. So yeah, I could very well see a migration into other cities that have better environments, weather and environments, as well as you know, intimate-sized buildings like this. I mean, the building is an intimate building, and even compared to its neighbors, there are some larger, you know, buildings down the road there, and this is just very, very intimate and controllable.
Thank you. And going back to design, yep. Do you see any particular trends, like not like in the big building, but inside of the homes? Sure, any particular trends that you might want to share with us that, you know, will be like a sneak preview of things to come?
Sure. I mean, I think one thing that has become more of not a trend, but more of a normal kind of thing, is integrated kitchens where all of the appliances and whatnot are fully integrated sinks and countertops, just for cleanliness, number one. And two, in open environments like a lot of condos or have with open kitchens, it doesn't feel like you're looking at a kitchen. It's more of an extension of a living room. So you're seeing a lot of that sort of integration. And I think one thing that might come from this pandemic is that you're going to probably see space, residential units having more of their own amenities. Like you're going to go back to having exercise rooms and going back to, you know, more spa-like bathrooms that have steam and sauna, which people have like left for some reason. And also having access to some sort of exterior, some sort of private terrace. But people, I think, will start nesting again and sort of coming together in their own homes. So you're gonna have a need to have a lot of these kind of space and work from home. I mean, offices. I mean, everyone has to have full access to everything from their residence and be able to conduct work at home. And I think that's something that is going to resurge now. They sort of like come and go, these kind of trends, but I think now they may stay, just to make your home more flexible.
Will it be safe to say that perhaps our home now will become more important than ever?
I agree 100%. I think this has been quite an exercise to have this pandemic and everyone having to work from home. I know one thing as a firm that embraces technology and research and performative design, you know, Adrian and Gordon and our teams are all working very, very closely. We were scared that, okay, the week one, we wouldn't be able to work with each other. But because of technology, which, you know, I think will be a mainstay in people's homes, because of technology, we're even doubting that we should even go to an office. Twitter just announced that they will not be going back to their offices ever. They will never go back to their office. Everyone will work from home. So you may see companies that are starting to mandate this, and people are going to have to accommodate, and they're going to have all of that at their, you know, within their home.
I agree. I definitely think that we're going to see different, you know, lifestyles happening, and for that, obviously, design firms have to be on top of all these trends.
They have to adjust. I mean, it's like, I mean, all of our real estate, all of our businesses, you do have to be flexible. You know, it's like, how do you show a house when no one can go out? You know, how do you do that? How do you sign contracts when you can't have, you know, face-to-face? You adapt. You have technology that helps you. You have new ways of doing it. You know, here's a key or whatever, you know, they're expecting you kind of thing. But all of these occupations, all of us as professionals have to be able to be flexible and be ready for change.
Yes, and this is something that is changing before our eyes, basically, that it's happening just right as we speak. I have a couple of questions that I'm getting from our audience. One of them says, because we are right now at the beginning, you know, phase of the construction, would it be possible to change the layout of the apartments and make it your own, to design something completely, you know, personalized?
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to speak for Oko and their team. I came from this kind of line of work before ASGG, and yes, and I would imagine there are some things that can change, but there are also some, because of plumbing and mechanical, risers and whatnot, may not be able to be changed. But I would imagine if you speak with the OCO team, I'm sure they'd be able to direct you to, what can be done.
And I know they have been actually able to combine units, because it seems like that was the client is demanding, and they wanting like these big, large units or 5,000 square feet or more. And will that be difficulty for you to change?
No, I think a lot of the design, when Adrian and Gordon were sort of making the form of the building, we were always thinking about, well, what if they combine these two units? What if they wanted to combine the front and the back unit? How would that lay out? So I think even in the design process as a test, we did schematic designs for that. Like, what if you had a whole floor? I mean, how would it look? Where would the kitchen be? Does the kitchen still work here? And then that would inform us on where the kitchen should be to allow for enhancements and combination units.
So you basically have already foreseen all the possibilities. That's great.
Yeah, we were asked to. I mean, I think that was something that your team, the OCO team, they wanted to be ready for, and I think that's accommodated in the design.
Like you say, like, flexibility is very important nowadays. Yeah. I have another question. I believe Gordon Hill mentioned at some point that they were choosing a special kind of glass for Una.
Yes. So I don't know a lot about it, but the glass itself is a highly efficient insulated glass panel that allows us to not have the balconies, and it's high performing and is able to reflect the light rather than letting it come into the unit for your UVs and whatnot. So yes, that has been studied and tested with the architecture team. So we feel pretty confident that we're at a good place with the glass wall, just as a performative, on a performative basis.
I think that basically we cover a lot today. I think that we have a much better idea of what to expect with Una, which I think definitely is going to be an iconic new, skyline. It's going to be really a beautiful part of Miami. Thank you for designing it. Thank you for being with us. And do you have any question for me?
Yeah, I mean, if we have time, I don't. If we don't have time, but I mean, one thing that is working on the design team, we always look back on is two things. One is, what did we forget, or what ended up being the most unique thing about the project? And do you have any insights on those? Just as some.
So about what you miss absolutely nothing. It's perfect. It's gorgeous. I think that all the buyers are really quite impressed with the design and with inspiration. So I don't think I would change anything.
Okay, that's good. I'm relieved. Okay, good. That's great.
So thank you so much. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And for being part of this panel, and hopefully you will be in Miami soon. We'll be able to see this Una going up.
I hope so. I hope so. Have a great day, and everyone stay well and stay safe. Thank you
so much.
Thanks.